Welcome to a Better Choice podcast brought to you by ABC Pregnancy Resource Center right here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, where we're going to get to the heart of the matter.
I'm Becky Girola, Executive Director.
And I'm Marietta Laughlin, the All Things Girl, and we are so glad to have you joining with us today. Welcome back to a Better Choice podcast. Today, again, it's day 5, and we have Commander Jean with us again. And so we are going to talk about today some dangers in this area. So we hope that you never, ever, ever have to hear any of this or be a part of any of this. But that's the goal of this whole podcast, is to keep our kids safe. We wouldn't let them run in the street. And so we're not going to let them run into sex trafficking or a predator. And so this is some very helpful, easy ways we can start in the home to keep their jobs less busy and our jobs stress-free. So I don't know if it'll be stress-free, but in the long run, our goal is to create healthy adults who are productive citizens. And so the best way we can do that is to keep them away from the horrible things that are actually in this town and in this world. So welcome back. We already know a little bit about you. If you didn't hear yesterday, he's been with the force for 27 years, serving them proudly, and so we're very thankful for that. And so we are going to just get started. Where do you find our teens are most at risk or for dangers in this area?
Well, I think we're going to have to kind of go backwards a little bit and go back to the technology discussion. And I don't know that there's any one. Physical places, and we talked about this in the last podcast, we don't really go much of anywhere right now. In our particular area, there's not a whole lot of places to go right now because of the storm. So I think we're back to social media, we're back to gaming, we're back to online, we're back to all those things where if there's one area in which a predator is and even in this particular area, even more so than normal, it is going to be through the internet. It is going to be through gaming. It is going to be through social media for all the reasons that we talked about in the last podcast. Our kids are on all of these so much, all day, every day, until from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, either by phone, by computer, by gaming. And so that is where we just got to get, stay involved with our kids and what's going on. So what we've done really, of course, with COVID and all, we've created more opportunity for predators that we didn't necessarily have before. When we get back to regular school life, again, I think and we have regular peer interaction and we have face-to-face with friends again and going places and relationships at school. And it's about knowing who your kids are around. It's about knowing who their boyfriend is. It's about knowing who their girl, who's that new guy in their life. How old is that guy in their life? How old is that girl in their life? Where do they come from? Do you know their parents?
His parents,
all these types of things. That's where next thing you know, we've got a child that's being manipulated, being taken in by somebody that's a sexual predator.
That we talked about the book. It's still back there, but their brain is not capable, so it's still growing and maturing and molding and it's all a chemical thing, and so they're easily influenced. And they definitely do things for the peer involvement. If it's going to make their likes go up, then they're more willing to do it. So definitely it's not safe because apps are terrible. The technology is terrible, but it's there, and so we have to deal with it.
And let's take again, I don't know exactly where it would be a kid could go right now because it's just not, but movie theaters are starting to open back up. Or, when you drop your kid off at the movie theater, let's make sure they're going to the movie and not just leaving the movie and hopping in a car with somebody else.
I wasn't a great kid, but there was a $1.50 theater whenever we were kids. I went and saw the same movie probably 50,000 times because there's nothing else to do in this area. But we found ourselves a lot of times behind the theater, not even in the theater.
Correct.
And so as a kid, even if they're going to parties, high school parties, they can say, well, there's going to be parents there, but what is going on at that party? And
it's not just kids. It's what I think the bigger concern is adult predators.
Yeah.
Okay. So who are the adults at the party?
Yeah.
Who are the adults that they're at?
I think even what our kids are wearing, we need to we need to think about that, because I think girls show way too much. Like, they leave nothing for the imagination. Yeah. And I'm thinking, how did your parents let you walk out like that? But they do. We let our kids walk out in bathing suits, basically,
right,
of clothing. The shorts just keep getting shorter. The shirts or crop top is cute, which means the belly's going to show. And so, there was an incident and with my daughter's friend, and she put on a bathing suit. We were in a hotel, and she instantly covered her bottom. And because I said, "Whoa, girl, who you trying to show that to?" But we need to remember as parents that we're sending our kids out into a world where there are sex predators, and sex trafficking is huge right now, and it's in our area. I mean, you hear it all the time. People walking around Walmart trying to pick up people, and so it's there. So cover them up. Don't give them something, give them something to imagine, or,
right.
Don't.
I mean, look,
you're tempting them.
That's
it's
one of those
a natural
where
response.
A victim's a victim. Mm-hmm. And so I never would, nor would anybody, in our sex crimes unit, any law enforcement ever say, hey, you invited this.
Yeah.
But I think common sense would tell us that there's
as
some
parents,
things that are,
we should know
absolutely, there's
what's
some things
going
that are
to
probably
make
not
a man,
such a great idea.
Excited.
And you're right. It's just that simple. We've seen instances where literally, and maybe not even here, but across the country, we've seen predators that were able to convince somebody in a Walmart in just a short amount of time on aisle 10 to, hey, come outside with me. Hey, let's go walk here. Hey, let's get in the car
together. All it has to be is a cute boy for a teenage girl.
It's just that quick.
But
I'm talking about, again, it's the older adults. The older adults, the ones that are truly predators, they know what they're doing. They have their game down. They know how to speak and how to talk and to convince a young girl, a teenager, in just that short amount of time to do things or to put themselves in situations that because all you really have to do is a girl or a boy or whatever is play to their ego.
Yep.
Hey, you're cute.
Yep.
Hey, you're good looking. Hey, do you have a boyfriend? Hey, it's just and what heck, as adults, how does that make us feel? How does it make us feel whenever somebody gives us a compliment about our looks, our body, our eyes, or whatever? I mean, and it's just that easy to start the conversation in just that fashion. If you're online, oh, you got a nice sounding voice. Hey, and then just next thing you know, hey, send me a picture of your face. Hey, all these types of things. If you're a smooth talker,
grooming.
It is.
Yes.
That's right. And the ones that have perfected the grooming know exactly what they're doing, and it can be just that quick. I mean, and more often what we find here, locally at least, is it's not generally the stranger.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of times, or oftentimes for us, we see a lot of family members that groom. But yes, adults, the next door neighbor, the teacher, the coach, all these things
friends, parents,
that traditionally are people of trust. That we as society have put trust into. And so there's an automatic trust factor there from day one.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. Absolutely.
Sometimes it's a long process.
Yeah, it could be years.
So you're like, well, they've been with them forever.
Absolutely.
There's no way that's possible, and then...
And they have time is on their side.
Yeah.
And unfortunately. Yep. And that's where, back to the technology and back to the phones, where are they texting? There's no reason a young boy or a young girl should be texting with a coach. Or other than, hey, this is what time practice is. We shouldn't be having long conversations with a coach or whatever, you name it, leader, a teacher. No, let's just keep it.
Short,
so again,
sweet, and to the
look
point,
at your. Well, why are we having this long text message conversation, or why are we on? Why are we gaming with a coach that may be in their 20s or whatever? What's that all about? So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So that all goes back to just being involved and taking the phones and being, they don't know how to communicate anymore. Socializing is just not there, and so we constantly are having to teach them how to communicate and how to socialize and how to know the signs. It's kind of like the bubble thing, this is your bubble, stay out of your bubble,
Right.
And so what are some warning signs that we can look for? And if we see these, how do we report some suspicious activity?
Well, look, I think that maybe some warning signs would be if your child, I would say behavior change, a personality change. They become withdrawn, things of that nature. We know our children inside and out, and when that little whatever in the back of your mind is tapping on your shoulder and saying, "Hey, look, this is not normal for my child," and it may not be a sexual predator situation or something like that, but we all know our children, and I understand hormones play. It could be a lot of things.
Internet bullying is a huge thing.
Absolutely.
Online social media.
Again, don't ignore it. Again, if you've established that relationship with your child where you sit and talk to them, that's good. Because if they feel like they have the ability to talk and share with you, then that's a plus and a positive on your side. And it may be nothing, depending on the age. Again, we touched on this, the hormones, all those things that are going on. It may just be a bad day. It could just be a bad week. It could just be but don't ignore it.
Yeah. It's okay to ask your kids, how are you doing? But be prepared to listen. And also I want to just encourage y'all, don't react. Sometimes we react, and so it shuts them off.
True.
I just heard a story the other day, and, a mom reacted in a way that literally shut their daughter down from something very important that needed to be said. And so we need to just be just try your best to just put your poker face on, even though you're hearing some things and you're like, what?
There'll be time. There'll be enough time for all that.
Yeah. So just kind of, okay, well, let's deal with this, just kind of work through it. I mean, I'm not perfect at this either, but try not to react, because sometimes reacting can just completely shut a very important conversation down, and making them feel less than and like they're going to get in trouble. The one thing kids don't want to do is get in trouble, get their phones taken away, get all their freedom taken away, so if they feel like that's going to happen, they're not going to probably come to you and talk to you about it. So,
and I think that starts with having ground. Used to be the birds and the bees, but I think that we're way beyond. There's a whole lot of tough conversations that need to be had these days, and you can't be afraid to have the tough conversations with your kids about whatever it is, about drugs, about human trafficking, about, I never used in my world, of course. I have a whole lot more examples and see a lot more things than a normal parent would. And while I never used names, I did use specific sets of circumstances at times to talk to my son.
It's real. It's out there.
And it's real. Let me tell you what happened to this kid. Let me tell you what happened here. But for just a parent that's not in my world, watch the news. Okay, I know we don't do that a whole lot anymore.
I don't like watching the news.
But you know what? It is. But it's
so
also
bad,
things that it's very real, and we can't just bury our heads in the sand. And we show the kids, hey, look, this is what can happen. This could be, if you don't pay attention, you're not, this could be you. When we have the stories about the sexual predators, the human trafficking, or how people are groomed, or how quickly it can happen, or whatever, on down the line.
Don't blink, 'cause
don't act like it doesn't exist, because it does. Don't be afraid. It's a horrible thing to talk about, but let's not pretend like it doesn't exist.
I know, like, the statistics say that teen pregnancies are down, and I feel that that's a lot to do with because we don't have true relationships anymore. Like, it's all done online, and so of course they're not doing anything because they're not hanging out even really. And when they are, it's not that's probably all they're doing, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know where those statistics come from or why, but I do personally believe it's a lot because they're getting so much from the internet and the virtual world that they don't even know what reality's like anymore. So
I'll give you, for instance, again, you related to your children, I related to my son. If you talk to my son right now, he's got about 100 girlfriends scattered all over the state, the country, wherever, that he is, most of which he's never ever met face to face, because we're Instagram boyfriend, girlfriend, or and so
you DM'd me.
We just don't have that personal deal. So, we
catfishing is really big.
We just don't because what you see is not what always bait and switch.
I
happens with adults too.
But. It even happens like when people sell animals on Facebook.
Yeah,
it happens everywhere. It's like you can be pretty much tricked into anything if they're really good at it. If you allow yourself to believe it.
Absolutely.
And these kids don't have the mental capacity, like we've talked about. Their brains are just not prepared to make real life, like to just really see the whole picture.
Well, let me tell you how easy it is. And this is a little bit off topic, but it goes to the same thing, how easy it is, or even for someone like myself. I've got a boat for sale right now. And I have this guy text me from Ohio saying, give me your name and address, and I'm going to send you a check for $10,000. He's never seen the boat. So even me as a law enforcement guy, I'm like, well, what do I really have to lose here? The guy's going to send me a check with my name on it. Why not just take it? But then what's going to happen is probably it's going to be, hey, go to deposit in this account, and if you give $2,000, then that's all you need to get the rest. It's a whole scam.
Yeah.
But on the front side, you're tempted. Because, man, I really want to sell this boat.
Yeah.
And who cares if the guy ever comes and gets it? But as children, we're adults. I'm a 27-year law enforcement veteran, and the thought crossed my mind to dive right down into that. How's that for a kid?
Well, okay, so I don't know where this is coming from, but like when we talk about listening to our kids, my kids have talked about there are people out there that are hitting social media sites somewhere. I don't know where. I haven't gotten those details yet. But escorts, like, I'll give you money, and all you got to do is be my confidant, basically. Just talk to me and be a friend. And I'm like, what? Stop. Like, first off, you don't have a bank account, so you're not getting any money. and now I'm really not giving you a card ever.
Yeah.
So who are you? Where? But they're reaching out to kids on these app sites and saying, and so this is my own children that are getting this image that all I got to do is just talk to her. It's not that bad of a deal. It's not like I'm having sex with them, and you're like,
that's how it starts.
It is. That's how it starts.
It's worse.
It's worse. They're going to take you. You're going to be gone. We're going to have no idea where you are. So
that's how you gain confidence. So who doesn't want? And again, let's say that you're a child that hasn't had a particularly good social interaction at school in your life. And now we've got somebody that all I have to do is give them money, and they're going to be my friend. They'll listen to what I have to say. They won't judge me. Well, how quickly? It's done. They've got you.
They're paying.
You're paying
you.
for trust.
They're going to pay.
Yeah, you pay. They pay
my
you.
My son's saying, "Look, I'm so cute." On Snapchat or Instagram or wherever it's
Even
happening.
Worse.
Yeah, that they want to pay me to just be their boyfriend. I'm like, no.
Right.
It's not okay. And so we have to be listening to their conversations because that's kind of stuff that comes up. So, and that would be a warning sign, I guess, like, what? No. Okay, let me have your phone. Let's see what's going on here, Okay, so this one, we've talked a little bit about it, but how real is sex trafficking in our area? I know this is one that scares me to death. I have a daughter. She's gorgeous. She's 19 now. She goes out, and
So look,
freaks me out.
This question is often asked, and so again, I don't want to give the impression that we in law enforcement, we the sheriff's office, are turning a blind eye to this because we're not. But we just haven't seen that many cases of true sex trafficking. We just haven't. Yeah. Again, not saying it doesn't exist.
People aren't.
Most of the ones that we've seen,
absolutely
not. Most of the ones we've seen actually are that we've stumbled upon that are actually from out of the area that happen to be here for whatever reason or whatever purpose. Very few have we seen. More often what we see is family members and boyfriends grooming, not the stranger that takes them. So a better example would be, here's how this happens. Boyfriend, girlfriend. Usually older boyfriend, younger girlfriend. Can happen with boys and on the reverse, but usually it's boys and girls. They start having sex. And then he says, hey, look, why don't you have sex with my friend? Why don't you have sex with two of my friends? Hey, we're going to go have sex with this stranger, and he's going to give us money. And next thing you know, either through money, through drugs, through power, through threats or intimidation, this young lady is now into prostitution and sex trafficking. There's a lot of ways you can hold something over somebody's head.
It's happened. It's in this area for sure.
I've seen that
happen
for sure.
Yeah, we've seen it in this building.
But that
girls
happens.
Come in, so it does happen.
That's more often the scenario we see than just the random stranger guy at the Walmart or the wherever gaining confidence, and whether it's, it is kidnapping, but that the kid willingly goes, and next thing you know, hey, we just haven't seen that.
And what does this go back to? Being involved in your kids' lives. It's just a matter of knowing where they're at and knowing who they're with, and saying no. If
that boyfriend or girlfriend that's never at your house.
Yeah,
well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
How are you going to get to know that boyfriend?
And my husband
girlfriend?
Can't stand it when you don't come knock on my door.
Yeah.
So if you don't come and introduce yourself to my husband,
nothing tougher in this world because I did it
respect.
once. Nothing tougher in this world because I did it very early on with my son, and I had to say no. You're not, and he was 100%. But I had to say no.
Yeah.
And that's tough, and it was rough, and it was rough on him, and I just knew as a parent that I agonized over it.
Yeah.
And it was a rough time, but
they'll look back and they'll thank you.
You've got to, if that little hair stands up on the back of your neck and you think, man, I just don't think that this.
Because if they're going to do it to your kid, they're going to do it to someone else's kid.
Right.
And then, so at the moment, it's going to seem like the world's ending for your child, but eventually they'll look back and be like, whoa, that dude was a creeper. That girl really was nasty, or whatever it is, and so, because they're going to be there, they're all over the place. So,
sure.
Yeah, but
that's more often
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard being a parent.
Right.
We've talked about that too much. So we talked about what we can do to protect them is just basically just be involved. I feel like that's the biggest question. So I want to talk a little bit about consent. So I have just recently dove into this whole consent thing, but I've never taught my child about consent, and I feel like we probably should. So what exactly is consent, and what's a good way for us to, talk to our children about what is consent, what's, what is okay and what is not okay?
Well, I think you have to be very clear on both sides. And again, it's almost like we've made an intimate relationship business-like, which is in some ways I think that's a shame too. We're all a little bit afraid, at times to do anything.
Yeah.
But yes, ironically, I just had this conversation with my son again. No means no.
Yeah.
And intoxicated is intoxicated, and you really need to think about, and you have to be very clear about what you're about to do, and if they're okay with it, and if you're okay with it, and if at some point they decide they're not okay with it,
you have to stop.
You get to withdraw that I'm okay with it, and so again, it's not very romantic, I guess, but I think that's where we are. You can't just rely on signals and body language and hey, let's be clear that this is what we're about to do, and are you okay with it? Yeah, I'm okay with it. And that's the best. I would
if we could just
say.
All wait till marriage, that would be great.
Absolutely.
We could go back to the Bible and just wait till marriage.
Hey, that'd be great.
That would be amazing. We would see so much more peaceful relationships. But not to say that consent can't, has to be given in marriage as well. So it's not just in young kids. And this isn't just for girls. I think we need to teach our boys this, just like you said you taught your son, because he needs to know,
Absolutely.
When a girl says no, it's no.
Right.
And this is what's going to happen if you go forward with it. And I'm sure there's girls that are the same way. I know there's a lot of promiscuous girls in our area, and the younger ones, and they want to flaunt the stuff, and they're very seductive, not by... just because they just want the attention, from the boys. So they feel like seduction is the way to do that. And, but then they get themselves into situations they don't want to be in. And so,
but how confusing is that for?
It's very confusing for a boy. So teach your sons to stay away from the seductive girls, because it's going to get you into a situation you don't want to be in. And so consent is very important as a parent. And I plan on sitting down and talking with my kids at some point with it. I just wanted to know more about it. But consent, even in a relationship, you still have to have consent. So just because you've been dating for 2 years doesn't mean you get consent. Absolutely. You also don't get to manipulate a boyfriend or girlfriend, from what I read, into having sex with you. So you can't say, if you love me, you'll have sex.
Right.
That doesn't count as consent. That's manipulation. And so these are the things we need to talk to our kids about and help them understand, because I think we would have a lot less kids having sexual relationships if they actually understood no boy is going to love you more just because you have sex with them.
Or that I'm going to break up with you if you
don't. Or that
don't.
I'm going to break up with you if you don't.
Well,
okay, bye.
That
have
works
a good day.
both ways, too. I mean,
yeah.
we boys and girls are equally manipulative when it comes
so
to using emotion as a tool to gain sexual favor or relationship or whatever. So, absolutely.
And we're seeing a lot of, as a parent, I've seen several nude pictures come across my kid's cell phone. And one time it came through Snapchat, and my son was like, I don't even know who that is. Like, of course, because he's friends with somebody he doesn't know. But some girl just randomly snapped her breast to him, and that happens a lot.
Our juvenile detectives and our SROs in the schools see that a lot. I would say almost, maybe not daily, but it's pretty close.
It's very
I can guarantee it's going on daily. How much we see it, whether or not it's daily, but we do see it relatively often. And a lot of times it's third or fourth party. It's not even it's not even the guy or the girl that originally took the picture and sent it to one guy or girl, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's now being passed around, and now we've got it by definition, by legal definition, it's straight up child porn.
And it's on your cell phone, not your kids, because
and
your
guess
name
what?
is on
You're
that
not
cell
getting
phone.
your cell phone back.
Yeah.
I hate to be that way, but we can't give cell phones back
that
have child porn on it. We just can't. And that's hard whenever you got an $800 or $900 cell phone that you're invested in. And a lot of times that's the other thing I think we've lost in our society as parents. I think used to when I was a child, parents knew each other because you had face-to-face interaction. But a lot of issues and problems and conflicts were taken care of parents one-on-one. We didn't have to go to the school administration. We didn't have to go to law enforcement because we had rational, like-minded folks that were raising their kids in the same fashion that could call and say, hey, John, hey, Betty, whomever, hey, this is what your child's doing. This is what my child's doing. Hey, he's wrong. We're both wrong, whatever, without somebody immediately getting offended and saying, oh, not my child. And then we've got a whole bigger issue that if we just as parents resolved it between ourselves, then that would be the better.
Well, and then if you are the parent that takes the phone and you see the naked girl or boy on the phone, how do you even resolve that? Because you don't know who they are. Your kid may not tell you. They may even not even know themselves. It may just be some random person. And so how do you even resolve that? Because you don't want to get law involved because your kid's going to get in trouble. And then, it's like, where do you go with it?
So I will say,
how do you get that out to the parents?
I will say this. We, at least at the Sheriff's Office, we're rational. Yeah. We're common sense. Yeah. We're not looking, it's a child. They did something dumb. Yeah. So we are not. Now, there's a difference whenever it's in a harassing, bullying, when it's meant to hurt. Yeah, intentional. But a young boy and a young girl exchanging photos, while we may not like it, it happens. Yeah. It just, when it gets to be to the point where we're passing around and it's, we're being ugly, and we're again, you go back to the whole bullying thing and worrying about teen suicide and all those type of deals over a picture being passed around. That's when we, as law enforcement, have to say, hey, wait a minute. This is a little bit different, and there needs to be some consequences here.
But how do we not get there? Like, I don't want my kid to ever feel like he needs to kill himself because something got out that he was just young and stupid for, know? And so as parents, we need to be vigilant and be on their phones and be talking to them and making sure they understand that. Don't give them cell phones in the bathrooms. Don't let them go to the bathrooms with their cell phones. They're probably not dressed while they're on it. And, at night, in the middle of the night when we're sleeping, it's probably not a good time for them to have their phones either.
I would make my son leave his on the counter.
Yeah,
it's the old too much too soon.
Yep.
We're giving kids cell phones in elementary school.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I had someone ask on Facebook, my daughter's 10 and she thinks she needs a cell phone.
Yeah.
But I say 16, and I said, stay tuned. We'll have a sheriff's officer come in, and he's going to talk to you about that. So I'm so excited to have this out there. So just one last question, and that is, what is the Sheriff's Department doing to help keep our teens safe from major dangers in our area?
So, in fact, just recently, I think everybody knows after we had the incident that was very tragic at the Walmart, the sheriff got on and basically challenged the parents in our area. But aside from that, we at the Sheriff's Office, we've created a juvenile enforcement unit. We've got some few officers dedicated, or deputies dedicated, to enforcing the laws, curfew laws, and trespassing and truancy and all those things that, okay, hey, we would really want to encourage parents to do it.
Yeah.
But if not, we're going to do it for you.
Because you don't want the boys in blue showing up.
So we've gotten really involved with the school resource officers at the schools, because guess what? Just like any teacher, any principal, whatever, they know what's going on at the schools. Yep. They know if something's planned, a fight or whatever. You know who the ones are that are having issues and problems. So we're very in tune to that. But we are, and I can tell you that I, at the direction of the sheriff, have instructed everyone in the patrol division that's under my command that, one, we will aggressively enforce the laws as it pertains to the juveniles. And two, we're not just going to kick the can down the road, meaning we are going to get the juvenile justice system involved, the Mark Center involved, so we can get them. And really the goal is, and when you get OJJS involved, it's not just a you go to juvenile detention thing. If we send them a referral, they're immediately looking into what's the background situation here. What is it that we can offer this juvenile or this family to try to curb the behavior? Do they need counseling? What's going on behind the scenes? There's a whole world. One thing that we have in Southwest Louisiana that I found when I came into detectives a few years ago and had meetings, we have a lot of non-governmental organizations. Yes. Yours is an example.
ABC, yeah.
That we have a lot of those here in Calcasieu Parish. I went to a seminar about 5 years ago, and I was blown away by the amount of people in the room that we have that are faith-based or community organizations or
just want to help.
That just want to help. Yeah. We've got a lot of that here in Calcasieu Parish. I don't know that we're unique in that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that we should be proud of. We've got a lot of tools at our disposal, and as long as we get them to the right people, and the juvenile justice system is a good way to do that, we'll figure out how to. We just got to get them there.
Yeah, and that's what this podcast is really all about, is what resources do we have in this area? That's what we're going to bring to you. It won't be all video based, it's going to be more just audio, but I really want to just interview local resources in this area so that we as adults, as parents, as kids even, can just really tune in to what is available, because there's stuff I don't even probably know about, that's in this area.
Well, I can tell you we've got some, I would offer a suggestion to you that you reach out for the folks at the juvenile justice and have them on, because they have some very unique, they see even more than I see, and they have some very unique perspective about what the trends are and what's going on, and we'd be very, Tony Celestine is the director out of there, and he took Bill Summers' spot, and Bill's now at the state level running for the governor. So we've got some great resources, and I can guarantee you they would be more than happy to sit and visit with you and provide even more insight. So
absolutely,
and about what's out there to help.
Yeah. It's all about, like, if I can keep my kids from having to do it, to ever have to go through anything horrible, and I know all parents feel the same. That's what we're here for, And so,
and look, even in the best of everybody has, even in the best of situations, the best of intentions, sometimes it's just not enough. So don't beat yourself up, parents. If you're doing, we're all just doing the best we can. As long as we're doing the best we can. But when something does happen that's beyond our control, even of our best efforts, there's resources out there to help. So.
Don't give up. Yeah. So that's so good. So we're so glad that you came back on day 5, and we just have gotten so much great information from you, and we really appreciate the Sheriff's Department and everything y'all do for us in this area. And so if you have any questions or anything, put them down in the comments. I'm sure they would love to answer them. And just feel free to reach out. They're very, very helpful. And so just thank you so much for joining us again today. Come back tomorrow. We'll be talking about peer pressure. We are almost done with this podcast, and I just hope y'all are as inspired as I have been, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.